So, a few months after the release of Superman, people on the internet are still discussing not only the film itself, but also how the new DCU slate assembled by James Gunn could bring something refreshing to superhero movies. But if we take a step back, fans weren't always this optimistic about the film. Early on, many criticized the suit for looking baggy, the design of the new S symbol, and even in the trailer, fans pointing out the overuse of blue filters and how Clark's personality came across as angrier and more prone to shouting.
People were going to die!
Gunn didn't bother with the hate. Instead, he's been super chill and approachable, even hopping on social media to answer fan questions and join the convo himself. After the huge success of Guardians of the Galaxy, which is easily one of the best trilogies in the MCU, Gunn gained the confidence to keep pushing superhero movies forward. And DC handed him the big brain role.
And you're doing all these things. Guardians 1 is a huge success. Guardians 2 is a huge success. Suicide Squad, Peacemaker, all these things. And then someone's over at DC says, hey, we want you to run the studio.
Yeah.
And you knew you were going to be loved and hated at the same time.
I've been used to being loved and hated for a long time. Like, I'm on Twitter, that's what.
The magic with Gunn is simple. He makes you laugh, then suddenly you're crying over a talking raccoon. His characters hit and actors keep coming back because they love the guy. Plus, he's got non-stop support from his wife, his brother, and even his dog, who all of them shows up in his movies.
This is my dog, Ozu. We 3D captured Ozu, turned him into Krypto. Every time he sees himself come on screen, he tries to murder himself.
When the trailer dropped, my first thought was, this looks like a comic book come to life. Visually, it's bold and vibrant, but to be honest, I wasn't totally sold on the filter. It felt a bit overexposed with heavy blue tones and low contrast, almost like something out of a Wes Anderson film. Now, I'm not saying it's bad, it's just not my personal favorite. It doesn't feel as timeless as, say, the cinematography in The Dark Knight. That film still looks stunning years later. My concern is that this hyper-stylized filter might feel dated over time, or audiences might get tired of it fast. What I'm really curious about is, did James Gunn intend for this visual style to carry across the entire DCU? Because honestly, I don't think it would fit the Batman universe. Batman's world is darker, grittier. I just can't picture the Caped Crusader in a Wes Anderson-style color palette. But who knows? Maybe that's the whole idea. Maybe it's a way to stand out from the usual dark tone we saw in Matt Reeves' version. And who knows, a high saturated, over bright Batman movie might actually work, kind of like in the comics, which, by the way, I was so pumped and excited that I ended up creating my own version of what I think the new DCU Batman logo should look like. I seriously can't wait for the DCU Batman movie. I'm Team Batman all the way. But speaking of logos, when the new DCU Superman logo dropped, yeah, that one didn't really land for me or for a lot of fans, to be honest. At first glance, I felt like they should have just stuck with the classic S symbol instead of using the one from the Ulster Superman comic. And the suit overall, not exactly my cup of tea either at first. But hey, when I heard that James Gunn intentionally designed the costume and logo to give Superman a more lighthearted, huggable vibe, kind of got it. He said he wanted Superman to be the emotional opposite of Batman, who's gritty, dark, and definitely not huggable. And you know what? Over time, the new suit and logo grew on me. It actually works really well, especially on merch and keychains. I've got to admit, it's starting to look pretty good. What I'm saying is, all this criticism, it's kind of expected. And this is just the beginning of a new movie franchise. Heck, even Christopher Nolan's Batman Begins didn't have sky-high expectations at first. People were nitpicking left and right during its early production, and now it's legendary. James Gunn has had the right vision for this project from the start. And then, while filming one of the key Superman scenes, this happened.
He starts saying, I don't know if I feel this.
The whole crew's sitting around waiting like, come on, let's shoot, let's get this done. So if I say, that's what it is to be human, that feels like I'm trying to prove it still, as opposed to I really know it. When is this not the moment where I go, I was wrong to feel that way?
That's exactly where the issue is, right? Because what he didn't tell you was it was wrong to feel that. Your feelings about feeling bad are okay. It's not wrong for you to feel that way.
All of it is being vulnerable and being human, being a human being. For you to talk about how it's okay to be vulnerable, you have to be vulnerable, which means showing Lex that your feelings are hurt. In the point when you really shouldn't. Superman.
Look, I've got no complaints about David Corenswet. In fact, I get exactly where he's coming from on that clip. The guy's a serious actor, trained at Juilliard, the same elite school that Christopher Reeve attended. He's not just some fresh face. He's been in several films, built up a strong portfolio, and proven his range. And off screen, he's got a longtime partner, just welcomed a daughter, and now he's stepping into the role of Superman. That's a career milestone. The man is living his life. And with that, he's not just showing up to say lines. He's passionate, confident. He's invested in how the character is portrayed, offering ideas, challenging the norms, and not just playing it safe to win points as the new guy. That disagreement with James Gunn about one particular scene, I think David wanted to push back to the usual stereotypical hero moments, you know, the calm, stoic, badass speech after a climactic victory. But instead, the script had Superman proving and explaining so emotionally to the villain, who is actually already defeated.
Alien! That is where you've always been wrong about me, Lex. I'm as human as anyone. I get scared.
And while some fans might have preferred David's version of that scene, Gunn stood firm in his vision. He's telling a different kind of Superman story, one that's grounded in real emotion, not just classic heroic tropes. And honestly, that's what makes Gunn such a strong writer and director. Now, if there's something in the script that's not quite working, he'll bring it up with his film crew, people like Henry Brahm, the cinematographer. But when it comes to talking with actors, he's not the kind of director who lays down a rigid plan like, hey, this is my take. It's the first DCU movie, so I'm keeping it grounded. Just follow my lead. Nope. That's not his style. Instead, he talks to actors about their characters, about what they're feeling, what that moment means to them emotionally. He wants the actor to connect deeply with the character, to debate and explore those layers together. It's not about how the final movie will look. It's about how the character truly feels in that scene. And that kind of collaborative energy, that level of respect for an actor's process, it's rare. And it's not just fans who noticed. George R.R. Martin himself praised Gunn's take on Superman and how the overall film was written. And let's be honest, George doesn't hand out compliments easily, especially not for superhero stuff. So hey, who knows? Maybe James Gunn should write the ending to A Song of Ice and Fire. Maybe. In speaking of great actors, the one performance that really stood out to me was Nicholas Holt's portrayal of Lex Luthor. It wasn't just that Gunn wrote the character brilliantly, Hault delivered the lines with such intensity, you could see the emotion right there in his eyes. Lex isn't just your typical villain. He's a psychotic genius, a guy who created a humanoid creature when he was just 12 years old. Now, that detail, it says a lot about the kind of childhood he must have had. You can tell Lex carries deep insecurities, not just about the world, but especially about Superman. I mean, here's this charming, cocky, powerful figure loved by everyone. Lex, not so much. He's written and played as someone without physical strength. He's not the kind of guy who throws punches. Instead, he hides behind tech, mechanical suits, engineered humanoids, and a staff of loyal gamers. And that perfectly ties into one of his best lines in the film. Brain beats brawn. A line, by the way, that Nicholas Hault actually improvised. Genius, but who knows? Maybe in the sequels, Lex might take things to the next level. Maybe he injects himself with a serum that gives him powers just like in the comics and finally goes toe-to-toe with Superman. Unlike most MCU films where the villains are always some superpowered, mutated, or alien threat that ends up being defeated by the good old power of love, this one goes in a very different direction. James Gunn makes sure that in this story, heroes and villains aren't afraid to get their hands dirty. If they have to kill brutally, they will, but always for a reason that makes sense. The battles aren't just about who punches harder, but about ideology, conflict, and purpose. Every character here matters. There's no clear main or side character. Each one has their own motivations, their own internal struggles, and they all clash in a way that feels real and earned. That's why Gunn brought in more fascinating characters like the Justice Gang and honestly, Mr. Terrific, Guy Gardner's Green Lantern, and Hawkgirl. They were absolutely fantastic in the movie. Their introductions were sharp, their presence was strong, and honestly, they nearly stole every scene they were in. Now, some people have pointed out Hawkgirl's limited screen time. And yeah, there's that spoiler alert moment where she takes out a country's leader. But for me, those weren't really issues. If there's one thing I think could have been improved, it's how her wings were handled. Don't get me wrong, the VFX were top notch and the color palette for her wings, stunning. I really loved the combination they used. Visually, it was awesome. However, personally, I think it would have been way more interesting if Hawkgirl had organic, non-removable wings, like in Justice League Unlimited. Imagine a scene where she's just in regular clothes, still rocking the wings. That visual alone would be such a powerful reminder of her alien nature and the life she's lived.
Aliens? Well, then he must be a lunatic, because we all know that there's no life on other planets.
Those wings always being a part of her. It's not something she can take off or hide. It's her. Kind of like how Clark, even though he was raised by Ma and Pa Kent, still carries a deep connection to his Kryptonian roots, whether he's trying to understand where he comes from or running from revelations he's not ready to face. And the time where he found out about his parents' true nature, honestly, flipping the narrative like that hit me hard. It revealed a part of the story I didn't expect, but the moment I thought of it, I was like, wait, why didn't I thought of this before? Or why didn't any DC comic book writer thought about this? Honestly, kind of mind blown. And then I had this wild thought. What if Krypto knew about all of this? I mean, he's been the House of L's loyal dog ever since Kal-El was a baby. He was sent to Earth too, depending on which comic version you follow. But what if Krypto remembers something darker? What if the reason he acts hyper, disobedient, or sometimes desperate for attention is because he was abused back on Krypton? Maybe not by Jor-El and Lara intentionally, but what if he was treated more like an experiment than a pet? Ugh, I hate thinking about it, but my imagination just spiraled. The idea of Krypto being mistreated, it's haunting. And James Gunn, I know you've done it before. I need answers right now, please. And now, sure, some people might say there are too many characters in a Superman movie, but the way Gunn wrote it, it wouldn't make sense if we only had Superman, Lois Lane, and Lex Luthor. This is the DCU. With a world full of heroes, they wouldn't just sit back and wait for their solo films. They'd show up when the world is in danger. And that's why the cameos from Peacemaker, the Gotham City Easter eggs, and all the little universe tie-ins make this movie feel alive. It's not just a Superman film, it's a stepping stone into something bigger, and it genuinely gets you hyped for what's coming next in the DC universe. And Gunn wanted fans to know that from the jump. He didn't even wait, he straight up revealed that Supergirl would appear in the movie. In fact, just days before the premiere, he dropped a teaser poster for her. And yes, she did show up, but not with some epic, heroic pose. No, she came in drunk, messy, and cursing her cousin, calling Superman a bitch. That's attitude. And it told us so much about her character in just a few seconds of screen time. That scene sparked a whole conversation, and I actually did a full breakdown of this bold new version of Supergirl, what it reveals about her character and what she could bring to the future of the DCU. I'll be diving deeper into all of that in the next video, so stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. This is me just testing the waters with this kind of content. This is officially my first video on this channel, and I really hope you enjoy watching it as much as I enjoyed making it. I actually wrote this in a dimly lit room and edited it using my employer's Adobe account and 11 Labs credit secretly. So fingers crossed I don't get in trouble. Anyway, I just wanted to say I'm a huge fan of well-written film scripts and a total cinematography enthusiast. So I'm super excited to finally share my thoughts with you. I've got a lot of things to say and yap about when it comes to movies, and this is just the beginning of the content I want to create. So I hope you get more time to support and leave any comments on which I need to improve and suggest more videos you want me to cover next. Bye.